All right, what's up, YouTube? So I've been watching a lot of Throne and Liberty content, and I've been, trying through osmosis, I guess, to just watch as much as I can to try to understand this game. And basically, I've just been, some of the same things have been repeated to me over and over and over and over again. And there's still some stuff I don't understand, of course, because I won't understand it until I've been through some of it. And I think playing the game a little bit and getting ahead of everything will help when I start over, because I'm going to start over on October 1st when the game comes out, along with my friends. Even though we spent a bunch of time this weekend playing the game, I think I'm at like level 30 right now. And basically I was playing like Sword and Shield, daggers, and I don't know whether it's good or not, or what I should be necessarily focusing on. I kind of understand what I should be focusing on, how it's like a rock paper scissors type of thing, but anyway, there's a lot of stuff that I don't know, so I figured I'd do a little reaction video to this video here. 10 important things I wish I knew before starting Throne of Liberty. We're gonna see how many of these things I haven't heard already, and how many of these things actually are going to help me out with understanding and playing this game going forward. Because I have been thinking about maybe switching my class or switching my my weapons or whatever to something different than Sword and Shield and daggers. I'm not sure how good it is for PvP or whatever. It seems to be like okay. I have an idea of what I want to do, but I was thinking about maybe at least throwing another weapon in there where I don't know how much sense this makes, but if I'm using Sword and Shield and daggers, right, and I also level a great sword, do I have enough resources to then level a great sword, so then I can switch between like great sword daggers, or great sword and shield, or dagger sword and shield? You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of move them around, so like great sword, like switch them around and like do different things. So we're gonna watch this video and we're gonna see if they teach me anything that I wish I would have known before starting the game. Some of the stuff, it may be about quests too, like because the stop gaps in the quests for the story mode were kind of annoying, and I wish I would have been doing the side quests and stuff along with the story, instead of waiting until I got to the stop gaps. But let's just get into it.
I heard you like short, easy to understand and straight to the point guides. Here are 10 things that I wish I knew before starting Throne of Liberty. Every gear piece, item, material, food ingredient or any random thing you can obtain as a loot or a reward has a tooltip that is called How to Acquire. Clicking on
I already knew this, but what is the significance?
any item, then going to this icon will open up a new window where it shows all the possible ways where this item can be obtained, separated by different categories like dungeons, merchants, gathering and so on. Clicking on any of these will take you even deeper into that specific game system and show you even more details on how and where to obtain that item. These tooltips can also be used for checking which traits can be unlocked by clicking on any gear item and selecting this icon. New window opens and shows every single trait that this gear piece can drop with or be unlocked.
Alright.
If you have a gear item that is also sellable on the auction house, clicking on this icon will open up an auction house and show you that exact gear item with the exact same trait, already applying all the filters and making it easy to sell. Each weapon has its own mastery tree and its own different stats. It can be leveled up naturally just by playing the game and killing mobs and bosses with the weapons or with weapon mastery.
But it seems to be very, 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 very slow leveling up your weapon masteries. I don't like, I had a bunch of tiers. I don't remember where the tiers exactly came from, but it says if you don't use them within 24 hours, they disappear. So you have to use them. So it kind of forces you to use them on whatever you're currently using rather than saving them for later and trying to, save them all for your final, whatever you choose your final build to be. So, yeah, whatever. I don't even know what to put my masteries into yet, because I figure that toward the end, I figure I don't even mess with the masteries and stuff yet until I get toward the end, or I need like a boost of power or something like that where I can't get it from anywhere else. But that would be end game. I feel like that would be like a level 50 thing to do, is to mess with your weapon masteries, because I feel like I don't really even need to mess with masteries. I haven't even really leveled my skills. Well, I did level some of my skills once I got to level 30, but I feel like I really didn't even need to do that, and I only did it because I was trying to out damage my friend, and we weren't even like PvPing or anything. We were just like, oh, he was just like, oh, I'm doing so much damage, I kill stuff so quickly, it seems like you don't kill stuff fast enough. And I'm like, well, that's because I didn't level up my skills, because I don't even know what I want to necessarily do yet. I did have like level 6 green weapons, level 6 or level 6 green. Some of my gear is level 6 in green. Some of my stuff is still gray, but I'm at level like 30. So like no, I haven't like gotten to end game or anything like that yet in just a weekend. I know some people are at level 50 on like day 1 because they just know what to do, but that is what it is. That's not me. I haven't been playing the game. I don't know what to do yet. So that's why we're here, learning things.
Mastery elixirs that can be dropped from doing contracts, dungeons, and other various activities. This is how weapon mastery stats work. If you're holding a specific weapon in your hand, for example longbow, all the stats that are active will be constantly active as long as you're using longbow skills and holding a longbow. In this case, dagger weapon mastery is not active at all. However, if you're holding a longbow in main hand and when you use a dagger skill, only during the duration of the skill activation and usage the dagger mastery is active, but the longbow mastery then turns off. After the dagger skill animation is finished,
Makes
the
sense.
dagger mastery turns off and longbow mastery turns on. This works vice versa
Makes sense.
as well if you were to hold a dagger.
Me and my friend were sitting there yesterday. Oh my god, we were going back and forth trying to figure out whether trying to figure out whether the skills would use your main hand weapon, or did they use your, because we were misunderstood. We misunderstood what main hand and offhand was, because both of us are using daggers and he's using a wand and I'm using sword and shield. So I thought that offhand meant that your offhand weapon is the weapon that you have as your secondary weapon. Like we thought, okay, you equip your main weapon and then you equip your second weapon, and your second weapon was your offhand weapon. That's what we thought. So we thought that, okay, well, if it says main hand weapon and you use a main hand, or you use a like skill from your offhand weapon, right, your secondary, which is not the case. We know this now, but we thought that the weapon in the back, right? If you use the skill from your weapon in the back, it would use the stats from your weapon that you had in your hand. But then we started to realize, like, oh, it just switches. So like every time you switch your weapon, like even if you just switch your weapon, the weapon that you have out becomes your main hand weapon, right? Like, and it's not even a thing about offhand or main hand. We just saw offhand because daggers have an offhand stat for like the one in your main hand and the dagger in your offhand. And then same thing for crossbows, how crossbows have a stat for your main hand and a stat for your offhand. So we figured out that, like, oh, that's not what offhand means in this game, and that what they're actually talking about for the stats is that anytime you use a skill, you pull that weapon out, it becomes your main hand for the duration of the skill, and then they bring back out the weapon that you had out prior to using the skill. And look, we didn't notice this. We thought we were just using the skills while we had the other weapon out. So like if I had my sword and shield out and I used like the poison ability, that my poison ability was being used by my sword and shield, which is not the case. So we figured this out by going back and forth with each other and like messing around with stuff in the training dummy, and then realizing it's not that complicated. It wasn't as complicated as we thought it was. It was very simple, actually.
In the main hand. That's why many builds will recommend a specific weapon to always be in your main hand, mainly due to better masteries among other things. You probably already know that the game has this thing called shapeshifting. There are various shapeshifting monsters available for you to obtain and acquire through quests and other activities. They allow you to shapeshift into a monster in a specific...
Oh, I did find out earlier today that shapeshifting into a monster and then walking around those same monsters, those monsters won't attack. I wonder if that's what he's about to say here in this thing about the shapeshifting.
Area that has those types of monsters. For example, if you shapeshift into a spider and go into an area filled with spiders, they will not aggro and attack you. They are mostly used in open world dungeons where you just want to do the codex quest and not have to worry about aggroing the whole open world dungeon and dying. This way you can stroll through all the monsters without a care in the world. You probably heard 100 times already.
Okay, but, 1 second. The thing that I wish I would have known before, I think the more important thing is, how do you unlock them? Because my friend unlocked a second guardian that I don't have. I'm at a higher level than him. I don't know where I missed it, but he has a guardian that I don't have. And I'm trying to figure out why.
They allow you to shapeshift into a monster to the codex quest. You probably heard 100 times already how important it is to join a guild. So here's another reason why you should
I did hear this too, and I am in a guild.
There's this NPC called Guild Merchant,
okay,
and he sells daily and weekly items for guild coins.
All right.
Guild coins can be acquired through guild donations and completing guild
I have
contracts.
some of those.
The reason why Guild Merchant is important is because he sells
I also
potions.
have that subscribed.
These potions
animation
can only be consistently obtained at the Guild Merchant. Other than occasional reward in the battle pass or a one-time drop from Tadal Tower, these potions cannot be crafted or obtained in any other way. Every day, do guild donations, do guild rewards, collect guild coins and buy potions. There are other nice things you would also want to buy when you need it for specific things, like
trait conversion stones. That sounds extra important. That sounds extra important to have.
Conversion stones. So always be wary of
rare polished crystals. What are those for?
Daily and weekly resets. If you haven't seen or known by now, in almost every small settlement and big city, there is an area filled with training dummies. And they serve one purpose, for you to test your skill build, your rotation, DPS and other things.
He's making me kind of want to play
Keep in mind that these dummies do not have any defense or defensive stats, so the damage numbers would not reflect the real damage. In Castleton, there is also a training dummy NPC that simulates various blockable fury attacks, which you can practice and get better.
Also, I just found out earlier today that fury attacks are the circle and wrath attacks are the diamond. I had no idea. But also, I learned earlier today that if you are fighting someone in PvP, that their moves are also fury and wrath, and you can block and roll them, but it doesn't show you the circle or the diamond. So you kind of have to know what moves they have, which moves are fury attacks and which moves are wrath attacks when you're trying to block and parry and stuff like that, and roll and parry or whatever, and use counterattacks. It's good to know what like someone's initiation move is or something like that, or what their skill rotation is, or if they have all fury attacks or if they have all wrath attacks, so that you know that you can block their attacks and counterattack them and stuff like that. So That's something that I knew. So man, I might as well make one of these videos, things that I wish I knew before starting the game, because I should write these down and make my own video about it.
Better at consistently doing them once you start doing dungeons. Training dummies are probably the best way to consistently test out different builds, and while there could be better ways implemented into the game, for now it serves its purpose well enough. The one absolutely best thing Throne of Liberty has is the option of crafting and dissolving items and materials up and down. With the lower tier items you can craft higher tier items, and dissolving higher tier items gives materials needed to craft lower tier items. Dissolving will almost always give you less lower tier materials than it's needed to craft up, but this ultimately means that no item, gear piece or material is useless. The game does not give you useless items, there is always something you can do with it and use it. Always keep in mind that if you need blue parchments to craft blue skill books, you can always dissolve a few purple parchments or purple skill books and then craft blue parchments to then turn it into a blue skill books. Remember, dissolving an item gives a lower tier of that same item, which can then be used to craft other lower tier items. And when needing higher tier items, use excess lower tier items to craft up. Materials like precious marvins, rubies, stallion and emerald have a great value for two things. They are all sellable on the auction house for Lucent, and with that, their solant value is also extremely high. One precious marvin sells for 400.
Wait, so are these the same thing? Is are you crafting these and these up into these? Is that how that works? Because if that's how that works, I understand what you do, and that's how you can, I guess, make some money.
132,000 solant, while Rubik's, Emerald and Stallion sell for 288,000 solant. This gives them double value. After spending 20,000 abyssal tokens farming in open world.
That says, more importantly, does that say 2,000 lucent or 2.778 lucent? That says 2,000 lucent? What? Orcaning powerful mana used to craft accessory growth stones. That's
dungeons. Most of the time you will end up with a lot of these materials in both blue and purple tier. You will craft up blue ones into purple and then decide what you need more, Lucent or Solant. I see a lot of PvP players not using and utilizing Astral Vision. It is the best tool for large scale PvP that helps you select and cycle through different targets. But to use it properly you need to set it up first. First you will need correct targeting settings for PvP.
I have no idea about any of this stuff.
Set it to search by order
because
of
I have not.
And take
I've been in PvP. I've been in I think I've been in PvP two times. The first time I had, or both times I had no idea, because the first time I flew over to an area thinking that I'm just going to do an area boss, and people started whacking me over the back of the head, and I'm like, why do these enemies look like players? And I was like, oh, they are players. This person is beating the dog shit out of me, right? And I'm like, okay. And then most of them were like level 50, level 40 and stuff like that. So they were like, just, we were like level 28 or whatever. So we were just getting murdered. And then there was another one, and basically a similar thing, where we had to go over and do this quest. And the quest was in an area where they happened to be doing a PvP like mission thing where the both sides had to kill a certain amount of monsters, but we weren't there for that. We were there for this other quest that just happened to be in the same area. So it became very difficult to get these things done because people just kept running up to us and killing us. And I'm just like, oh, okay, this is the life we live. This is the life we live here.
1, 3, 4 and 5 options. In keybinds you will want to bind a key on Astral Vision based on my character. Pressing that key will open Astral Vision. First, in the settings you will want to untick everything, and under high priority tick feuds and blocked. and under normal priority, tick hostile guilds. This will then filter out all the players that are not hostile to your guild and allow you to use tab to select targets based on astral vision distance. Under astral vision interval, put it on 3 seconds, put astral vision range on about 30 meters, and click this button, which will automatically use astral vision and refresh your target list every 3 seconds. These settings are mostly used in large-scale GVG fights, as it can get really messy with a lot of random players.
I'm gonna have to come back to
On small
this
scale, you can turn it off or set
when
it
I
up so it
eventually
can filter all the enemy players. Another
start,
big
like,
thing is setting up
PvPing,
correct
like, for real.
nameplates. Under gameplay settings, under character tab, scroll down to show character name and change it to user settings, and set it up like this. It will help you reduce the clutter on your screen and only show names and health of hostile guilds and players, while the rest of the non-hostile and friendly players and guilds will only have a guild mark showing. Under your gameplay settings, go into Controls tab and please, for the love of God, tick Skill Buffer. This is the option that allows you to buffer up a skill, which will be used as soon as it is available on its own by the game, meaning it ignores input lag, it ignores ping, and uses the skill as soon as the game allows it. This will make your combat much more fluid, faster, and
So I was looking at skill buffer, and I was figuring that, like, skill buffer would be like, okay, I can just hit 1, 2, and 3, and it would automatically, queue those skills. Or maybe it's talking about skill queuing. Maybe I was looking at something different, because like it said something about like queuing up a skill so that it's ready immediately, and I think it's probably the setting that I was looking at. I didn't think I turned it on though.
When you can simply queue up another skill while being in a charging animation of another skill.
Okay, that is what I was looking at.
The most important setting you also want to turn off is camera smoothing, which is located under the camera tab. Simply untick all of these options and enjoy your responsive and camera smoothing free gameplay. When doing open world bosses, the chances of getting a gear drop are very small.
Okay, I wanted to go into my game real quick because it's open and change the camera setting before I forget about it.
That is because open world bosses in peace mode give gear drops based on your individual and party contribution. So only top damage and contribution players will have a chance for a drop. In the conflict with open world bosses, the drop is distributed to a player from a guild that has the highest contribution on the boss. So individual players won't have any chance of getting these drops, as only guild contribution matters. To make the matters even worse for players who try to snipe these drops, the gear, if it drops, goes to the guild bank, if that player is in a guild. If you are not in the guild and you get the gear drop, it goes into your inventory. The guild leader can, in the guild menu, select which settings will be used when it comes to this gear drop. So it is always important to be in a guild that is fair and will distribute those gear items to players who really need them. If nobody needs a dropped gear item, it then can be sold at the auction house, and every guild member gets a share in the lucent when it sells. This is why guilds are very important and why your guild needs to be fair. Everyone makes mistakes and learns from them, but you should always learn from other people's mistakes. So click on this video appearing on your screen.
I most likely will make a guild.
From my own 13 mistakes I made when first starting out,
but the problem
so you don't make them
is
too.
that me as the guild leader will be very, very
simply stick to your main story.
The guild leader will be very, very lax, chill, because we're not going to be like super hardcore. We might try to do certain stuff. Most likely will be like a PvE guild, unless later on we decide, you know what, let's try to jump into some PvP and see what happens, you know what I'm saying? But most likely I'm just gonna run a guild if I get a chance to do that with my friends, and if anybody wants to join, we can do that. I already have a Discord. I'll just make a channel for the guild or whatever, but do subscribe to the channel. I should just make that a stipulation. If you want to join the guild, you have to be subscribed to Eyeon RPG. So that'll be it. But thanks for watching. If you watched this video, and please do subscribe to the channel regardless of if you join the guild or not, if you're interested in this type of content. And please do like the video, as it does help me a lot. Watch time is paramount over everything, so I appreciate if you got to this far through the video. And please do hit the like button, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.